If disaster strikes tomorrow, are you really prepared to grab the bag and go? In 2025, threats are changing fast. Everything from natural disasters to civil unrest. Your bug out bag needs an upgrade. Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dan from Dozer Rescue. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build the ultimate bug out bag using the latest tips and essential gear. And hey, if you're just starting out, check out my 72-hour emergency kit video for beginners that's already helped thousands of people get started on their preparedness journey. With that being said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about choosing the right bag first and foremost. When it comes to your bag, you want to have a bag that has durability, comfort, and discretion. Your bag also needs to be able to carry a moderate amount of gear and supplies. So we want to aim for approximately 30 to 50 liters of carrying capacity. We're also looking for comfortable straps and ideally some kind of waist support or kidney belt. Now, I've worked with a variety of bags and brands throughout my career in the military. Some of the brands that I've worked with that I think very highly of and that I recommend for you is to check out brands like 511, Vertex, and Mystery Ranch. All of these brands I have personally used, and they offer quality that you can trust. I've really enjoyed using them, and there's a variety of designs and colors to match whatever it is that you're looking for. And remember, the bag that you choose can mean your comfort or your misery, especially in an emergency. So you want to make sure that the bag you get is going to work for you and your situation. Another thing to consider is the terrain and the environment that you're going to be in. If you have a terrain with lots of mountainous areas and it's very steep, you need to consider a bag that's going to work well in that environment. Vice versa, if you're on a very flat, level ground or very level geography, you want to make sure that you have a bag that's going to work in that environment. So again, just consider your environment, your location, the geography, the layout, and just really make sure that goes into your planning when picking out the bag that you want to use. Now, let's go ahead and break down the essentials by category. And so first, we're going to talk about all the different items that you want to bring into your bag. And then we'll go into more about checking your gear and how to properly store and stack your items to make sure it's the most comfortable fit for you. The very first topic we're going to discuss is our water and our hydration, which are very important to us, especially if we're going to be gone away from our home for prolonged periods of time. Now, you can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. And so you want to make sure that you're packing some form of lightweight water filtration system. Now, there's experts that will recommend things like the Sawyer Mini or the Grail GeoPress. You can, if you need to, pick up things like Life Straws, and there's all kinds of different filtration systems. But the bottom line is you want to have some form of water filtration, ideally in some form of water bottle, something that's lightweight and easy to carry, but allows you to filter water while you're on the go. Another very important thing that I recommend when it comes to your water and making sure that it's purified is getting water purification tablets. Now, there's a ton of different brands and there's a ton of different ways to get them, but you want to make sure that you are getting some form of water purification tablets. They're lightweight, they're easy, you can throw them in almost any single bag and it's not going to make much of a difference on weight on you, but it's a surefire way to make sure that you're going to get the water that you need to be able to drink and it's going to purify it. These are just some things that are easy, they're reliable, and they're lightweight solutions, and they're going to ensure that you can have water no matter where you're at. Next, let's talk about our food and our nutrition. When it comes to food, we want to pack food that's calorie dense and it's easy to carry. So think things like the Mountain House freeze-dried meals, think about Cliff Bars, trail mix, and we're also aiming for about 2,000 calories per day on average. So you want to get things that are lightweight, they taste good, and first and foremost, that they have the calories and the energy that you need. So you want to stock up on high calorie dense foods so that in the event that you're gone for 2, 3, 4 days, whatever the situation is, you have plenty of energy and you have things that are easily snackable and won't go bad right away so that you can maintain those energy levels as you're going through your journey. Next, let's talk about fire and lighting. So when it comes to fire gives warmth, fire cooks food, it can signal for help, it can purify your water, it can do a lot of really amazing things when you need it the most. Now, we also have to make sure that we can always have access to fire. And so these are some tools that I recommend to always get you there. The first thing is having stormproof matches. So, in the event that your bag isn't waterproof or things get wet, if you have stormproof matches, they will always work regardless of if they're wet or dry. The next thing is a ferro rod. And a ferro rod is essentially a metal rod that's made out of a metal alloy. And so these things can be made out of magnesium, they can be made out of iron. There's a variety of different metals that they can be made from. But essentially, you hold that down on your tinder and you strike it with a knife, and that will help to ignite and start your tinder and, of course, your actual fire. In terms of lighting, yes, you can have flashlights and a variety of little pen lights, but what I recommend is actually a headlamp, an LED headlamp. And the reason for this is that you can mount it to your head. If you have a helmet for whatever reason, you can also get them that are mounted to your helmet. But most importantly, it lights up your vision. So your field of view, it'll light that up and it'll leave your hands free. So with your hands, you can do other tasks, you can carry other items and equipment, and it's just a lot easier to work with and a lot more convenient as opposed to a traditional flashlight where you're having one hand operate the flashlight. The other benefit too is that with the LED headlamps, they usually last quite a while and you can get a variety of them to fit any kind of build or whatever you're needing to work with. So my recommendation is always the headlamps as opposed to traditional flashlights. But you don't want to just rely on one method. You want to have a couple different methods to make sure that you always have an illumination source. So again, I'm not discouraging flashlights. I'm just saying you want to have, I recommend the headlamps, but have a variety of ways too. Also on that note is you want to include extra batteries. Now this should go without being said, but I've seen quite a few emergency preparedness videos where people will include so many different light sources, but they forget batteries. That's nuts. Don't be that guy. Make sure that you're bringing batteries and not just any batteries, the right batteries for your devices. In this example, if you're going to have a headlamp that runs off of 2 or 3 AAA batteries, bring AAA batteries with you. Don't bring double A's or D's or C's or whatever else. It's not going to help you. So bring the proper batteries for your equipment and make sure you have plenty of them just in case. Next, let's go ahead and move on to first aid and health. So when it comes to first aid, you need to have a comprehensive first aid kit. So this first aid kit, it can have whatever, there's so many different brands out there, but let's look at the objective based thing. So if you have a first aid kit, it needs to be able to cover your basic wounds, your cuts, your infections, and it needs to include trauma essentials. With that being said, you also are going to need some additional extra items because typically those first aid kits won't cover everything. So make sure that you have, in addition, things like tourniquets, you have gauze. Preferably, I'd recommend a hemostatic agent, quick clot or combat gauze to help stop that bleeding even faster. Having some form of antibiotic medication or cream, neosporin, those are always good things to have on you. Having medical tape and having some form of antihistamine. So having Benadryl, if you're prone to anaphylaxis and you know you've had that issue or you have some allergens that are severe, bring your EpiPens with you. You want to make sure that your first aid kit has not only the basics of first aid, but also has the medications and the life-saving things that you will need as well. Now we're going to go on to communication and navigation. So it's inevitable. Cell phones will likely fail at some point. So that's why having a physical map or multiple physical maps, a compass, if you can afford it, some form of satellite GPS device like the Garmin InReach, these are going to become lifesavers. You can also include in your navigation kit a basic whistle. This can be used for signaling or identifying your location should you ever be lost. So, not saying that cell phones aren't the greatest thing ever. They are very helpful. However, you do need to realize that cell phones can run out of battery, you can lose signal, and you can't always rely on the GPS on your phone. So, it may be tough, but I recommend for you to go through and learn how to use a physical map, learn how to use a compass, and learn just basic navigational skills. You're going to be able to have the skills available to you so you can navigate and get where you need to go from point A to point B. Next, let's talk about protection and self-defense. So when it comes to self-defense, there's always an underlying statement that you need to follow your local laws for your state or for your county or whatever. That's true. But what I really want to touch on is regardless of what you have, you need to make sure that you are trained with it, right? So when it comes to self-defense items or devices, you can have things like pepper spray, you can have knives, you can have firearms. There's a whole bunch of different stuff, bear spray, but you need to make sure that if you're going to carry that stuff with you and it's in your bag, that you are training with it and you know how to use it. What do I mean by that? Let's talk about a firearm. If you're going to carry a firearm, you need to know and be comfortable with shooting it, unloading it, reloading it, making sure that you know where the safety is, making sure that you know how the gun operates, and if the gun jams, knowing how to unjam it. These are things that are crucial. You don't want to just throw in a firearm because you know you should have it, but then you don't know how to use it. This is surprising, but there's a lot of Americans who love guns and love firearms mainly for the looks, but they don't really practice and shoot them or not that often. So what I'm saying is whatever firearm you have with you, just make sure that you practice with it. Go out to the gun range and shoot it. Go take a instructor certified course. Go practice with the gun that you're going to carry with you. Same thing goes for if you have pepper spray or you have a knife. You need to make sure that if you're going to use the pepper spray, you know how it's going to be used and you know enough about it. So read the instructions, carry them with you, and go out and actually use these. If you're going to use the pepper spray, you need to know, is it a gel? Is it a spray? How do you lock it? How do you unlock it? Is there anything that you need to be concerned about? Is it expired? Really make sure that you use devices. Same thing with the knife. Do you know how it locks or unlocks? Is it a folding knife or is it a fixed knife? Practice with these things. Is there a glass breaker on the end of it? Make sure that you're just comfortable and familiar. It's self-defense, but they can also be used as tools for a variety of other things. So just make sure that you practice with them. Next, we're going to go into our clothing and our protection. So we want to make sure that we're packing layered clothing for warmth and versatility. So if you're in a cold environment, you have layers to warm yourself up. If you're in a hot environment, you take off those layers to cool down. You want to give yourself options in a variety of situations. You also want to make sure that you're having sturdy boots with you. So preferably these boots need to be broken into. You don't want to get rashes and blisters on your feet from a brand new pair of boots. So make sure that the boots that you have are comfortable, they're broken in, and they're sturdy and they can handle and they can take a beating. You also want to have some good, sturdy gloves and of course, some kind of rain gear. So you can have a poncho, waterproof jacket, something in that nature in case you get caught in the rain. Something else that I recommend is that I've seen a lot of people include N95 masks. And N95 masks are good for smaller situations, right? For more like medical setting kind of things. They're okay. They are a barrier. They will help you, but they don't really filter out the air. And there's still particles and contaminants that can get in. So what I recommend instead, it depends on your location. Again, what we talked about, your environment, where you're at. If you're like me and you live in California, I would recommend to get yourself a gas mask, a filtered gas mask. Now, I've used filtered gas masks my whole career in the military, but Mirror Safety actually provides excellent protection against airborne contaminants, and they're relatively affordable. So if you are in an environment where there's a lot of air pollution, or you're just worried about a chemical warfare attack or something similar, and you're preparing for the absolute worst case scenario, I do recommend that you get a gas mask with some filters in it. They can be a little pricey. I know Mirror Safety, they're right in the $200 to $300 range, but it can play a big difference, especially, like I said, if you're like me in California, you're constantly exposed to wildfires and you get caught in a situation where there is a lot of smoke and a lot of air pollutants. It's always a good idea to have on you so you can throw it on and keep your respiratory system as clean as possible. And then we're going to go into our sleeping and shelter. Without going too much into it, you want to pack yourself a lightweight sleeping bag, put it at the bottom of your bag, and that's going to give you comfort and protection if you need to sleep anywhere outside of your home or outside of your car, depending on your disaster. Brands like Snugpak and Marmot offer very durable, compact solutions that you can just throw in your bag and go. And they're very good quality. They'll do their job and they'll keep you nice and warm and give you that little bit of extra comfort when you need it. So now we've created a great, versatile, and general bug out bag. However, there's always items that can be included into the bug out bag or items you might want to potentially swap for in the future. So we're going to go over a speed round here, where I'm going to explain and give you multiple examples of items that you may want to include in your current bug out bag, depending on your location, your environment, and of course, what kind of disasters are most likely to affect you. Starting off, having some kind of small metal pot or metal cup is great for purifying water and cooking your food over the fire. Next, we have an electronic lighter. This can be used to start a fire, sometimes rapidly and more reliably than traditional methods. A multi-tool. Multi-tools are great for a variety of reasons and should be something that you carry with you in your bug out bag. Paracord rope. This can be used to connect and secure items in a variety of manners. Chem lights is just another great illumination tool to have with you. Sunscreen. Protect your skin from the sun in harsh, dry environments. Bug repellent. Bug repellent is something that if you're in an environment with lots of bugs and insects, may help you out and give you a little bit more comfort. Basic climbing accessories. This includes things like climbing rated carabiners, figure 8 plates, climbing harnesses, and static current mantle rope. If you're in environments with high elevation and lots of mountains, this may be useful to you should you decide to carry it. Contact cards. Having an emergency contact card laminated with some of your most important contacts may prove useful. Some kind of e-tool or collapsible shovel. In case you need to do any digging, you have something available to help you. Hand sanitizer and wet wipes. These are hygiene items that are good for just overall cleanliness. A glass breaker with a seatbelt cutter. This is something that can help you out, especially if you're traveling in vehicles often. Electrolytes. You got to make sure that you're keeping yourself hydrated and you're keeping electrolytes in your system. So having a couple packets of electrolytes will help you. Zip ties are very basic, they're lightweight, easy to carry, and they can be used to secure a whole variety of items. Trash bags can be used not only to collect your own trash and collect your own things, but they're also a sort of container, so they can also collect water and other various objects. Duct tape can be used to secure all kinds of objects, and again, is something that's just generally useful. And finally, a radio. Something that you can use to collect news and information. Now, those are all the items that we've talked about that we need for our bug out bag. But one thing that's really crucial is we need to make sure that we have consistent gear maintenance and gear checks. And so what do I mean by that? We want to do a periodic review of our bags. So what I recommend is marking it on your calendar, on your smartphone, whatever you want to use as a reminder. And about every 3 to 6 months, go through and check all the equipment in your bags. So this means to rotate your food, check the condition of your gear, and update it based on the current circumstances and the environment that you're in. If you have any medical items in your first aid kit, or maybe the entire first aid kit, you want to see if that's expired or not, because you don't want to get caught with something that's expired and maybe it's no longer good, or if you have alcohol prep pads and there's a slight tear in them and now they're dry, you want to look out for things like that. So check your equipment, check for expired items, make sure your food's rotated out, and just keep everything in a good working condition. You don't want to be caught where you have this beautiful bag that you've custom made, you've watched my video, you've learned a lot, you made this awesome bag, and maybe a year or two goes by and now you need to get into it and everything's expired or not working or there's tears and rips. You don't want that to happen. And let me tell you from personal experience, I was that guy. And I had a situation like that where I needed my bag and there was stuff that was missing from there and it was expired. Learn from my mistakes. Make sure that everything is constantly checked and is in serviceable condition. You'll thank yourself for it later. Next, let's get organized. So you have all these great tools available to you. You had your bag, but now let's make your bag even more efficient. Let's talk about organizing your bag. So something that you can do is simple and yet very effective is to get yourself Ziploc bags or some type of clear bag that you trust that's going to be sturdy and heavy duty. You take your bag, you're going to write on there what is the category of that bag. So if it's tools you're putting in the bag, write tools. If it's clothing and warmth, write clothing and warmth. Whatever the category you want to place in your bag, put that on the outside. Now you can also do stickers or a picture or a combination of whatever it is that you want to put to identify what the bag is. Then you just load up that bag with all the appropriate equipment in that category, and then you place that into your bug out bag. Now, why would you do this? This will make organization so much easier for you because when that bag is opened, especially if adrenaline is going and you're having a hard time using your fine motor skills, you open that bag up and everything will stay nice and put into their Ziploc bags or their plastic bags, as opposed to just throwing all those items into the backpack. You open that bag up or something happens where the whole thing opens up unexpectedly. And now you have all these items flying all over the place. So keep your bag organized. Get a bunch of Ziploc bags or again, some kind of clear bag and write and identify what category you want for each bag. Place your items inside. And now you have multiple organized bags inside of your main bag. So that way, when you open them up, they're not going to fly all over the place and everything is nice and neat. And you can go to exactly what you're looking for. I also recommend to place a number on each pocket of your current bug out bag. So what do I mean by that? All you have to do is take a Sharpie or get some tape and mark pocket 1, pocket 2, pocket 3, pocket 4, however you want to do it. You can do A, B, C, whatever works for you. But do some kind of identifier on every single pocket. So that way, if you have someone else who needs to access your bag, you can tell them exactly where the things are. Hey, if you go to pocket A, you will find the first aid kit. If you go to pocket B, you will find the clothing and protection bag. Same thing with the numbering. Go to pocket 1, go to pocket 2, you'll find this and this. It'll help keep things so much more organized and will help actually when you communicate with someone, it'll make it much more effective in the sense that you can tell them exactly which pocket to go to and where things are located. And now let's talk about one of the biggest common mistakes to avoid in 2025. You watched my video, you've seen my other videos. You look at this guy's video, you've collected this wealth of information and you go create yourself this amazing bug out bag. But now this bug out bag weighs about 70 pounds. It's huge. You've overpacked. And now you can't put it on your back to get out the door, or you can't leave it. You have to leave it in the car because it's too heavy for you. Don't make this mistake in 2025. Do not overpack your bag. A heavy bag is going to slow you down. You want to make sure that you're prioritizing your bag to be versatile and maintain your essential gear. But you also need to make sure that you're not neglecting your fitness as well. So you want to make sure that you have a good balance of the proper equipment and that you're physically fit and ready to handle a disaster and to be able to travel long distances if necessary. So what I always recommend is once you have your bag, you think it's perfect, throw it on your back and go do a 3, 4, 5, 6 mile hike or go do a little jog with it. Go test yourself out and push yourself a little bit and see how easy is that bag to carry. If you're getting to that 1 mile mark and that bag is just killing you, your shoulders are hurting, your back is hurting, maybe you need to look at readjusting your bag and how it fits to you. Or you need to look at, are you overpacking it with just way too much stuff that you don't need? So take a look at that. It does you no good if you build this perfect bag, but you can't use it. So just make sure that you're taking a look at that and you're fitting everything properly and it's very easy for you to carry and move about with it. And so the last thing that we're going to talk about here is packing your bag. We want to pack our bags in the way that we have our sleeping bags at the bottom and we have our heavier weights towards the top, towards our shoulders. You want to have our weights the heavy weights as close as possible to our back and our back, the top of our back and our shoulders. And what that's going to do is that's going to balance the weight and it's going to help us distribute it so that we have an optimized carrying position. We also want to put frequently lighter use items on top or on the side pockets or in the other accessible pockets. And for my military guys, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're rucking, every single ounce matters. So making sure that everything is properly stacked and as optimized as best as possible on you makes a big difference when you're traveling 6, 10, 12, 18 miles. So make sure that you have, again, your sleeping bag on the bottom, you have your heavier weight on top towards your shoulders, and it's as close to your back as possible. And then you throw in everything else after that. And that'll just make for a very streamlined experience when you're rucking or when you're hiking with your bag. Preparedness is power, you guys. Today, you've learned exactly how to build your bug out bag for 2025. But don't stop there. Take more action now. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button and leave me a comment down below. Tell me what's in your bag and what recommendations you would make to help others based on your experience. And also, don't forget to subscribe for more tactical family preparedness content from Dozer Rescue. Also, don't forget, if you're just starting out and you're watching this video, don't feel like you're overwhelmed. Check out my 72-hour emergency kit video where I explain everything and can help you create a bag just with some really basic items around the house. May not be much, but it'll get you started. And lastly, guys, remember to grab my free gear guide. That's my gift to you, and the link is down in the description. It gives you the top 10 preparedness items that you need to get yourself started in your preparedness journey. With that being said, stay safe, stay prepared, and stay tactical. I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless you.